All right. This morning they announced phase one of their comprehensive economic action plan. I knew it was coming. Um, and this is just sort of what the initial steps are. New ones will be coming out all the time, and I'll try and keep you guys updated and explain them in a simple to understand manner that I always try and do. What I would like to talk about before I get started is a lot of these things are going to take a lot of coordination between the government and the banks. And we know that generally speaking, the governments and the banks aren't really that fast at getting things done. And when everybody's going to be asking for all of this stuff at the same time, I want you guys to be patient with the people that you're talking to on the phone. It's not them that are making the decisions. They're just actually trying to help you, and their job is going to be absolutely a nightmare for the next little while because there's going to be so many people wanting so much stuff from them. I don't have all the answers as to exactly how you can apply and get these things and who's eligible and whatever, but I'll talk about what I do know and then what I assume will come next. So the first thing is I talked about the EI and the immediate EI, but then there was all of the people that were worried about the idea that you're self-employed, you don't pay into EI, how are you supposed to actually live? How are you supposed to get that? And that is what they're going to call the emergency support benefit, which will basically pay you just like EI pays an employee that was laid off. The same thing. This will be helpful for people that their kids they're now working at home, their income is reduced, their kids are staying. So basically it should be equivalent to about $900 every 2 weeks that you're going to get in that support benefit. I talked about the EI and the immediate assistance upon that in my last video. Then there's going to be a GST credit for low income and lower income Canadians. For single people, it's $400 a month, and for a couple, that's going to be $600 a month. And then a child benefit top up of $300 a month per child. So that should help ease some of the daycare costs by having to be a stay-at-home parent. Seniors, they haven't done a whole lot yet. They're going to change the withdrawal rules on your RSP to increase the minimum withdrawals. I don't necessarily love that idea because if you have any investments, your investments are going to be down. You probably shouldn't be taking too much money out of your investments if you don't have to. Now I know there's going to be a lot of complaints on this, but OAS, GAIS, CPP, those things are already in place to give you the income, so it's not really going to change that. But if you do have a mortgage payment or rent or whatever, and there's something, what they're really trying to help is the people that can't make an income anymore. And most seniors are retired, so that doesn't actually change that much. Students, 6 months for no student loan payback, so you're going to have the ability. And when they're doing this, and I had this question before, I'm going to assume, and I don't know this for a fact, is that they're not going to add on the interest that you haven't paid. It's basically like a break, and they're making them say you can't make these payments, so it's just going to be life didn't almost exist as far as money is concerned for 6 months. And once 6 months comes by, and hopefully we're out of it by then we can go back to business as usual, but not quite usual. And for the Indigenous communities, I don't know what their action plan here is, other than they said there's a distinctions-based support fund, so that will look it's separate for the residents on reservations. Shelters, and this is important, $200 million is going into shelters for the homeless and for sufferers of abuse child abuse, sexual abuse, especially if you live with an abusive husband or spouse. Well, that's great, I think, because you're going to be stuck in the house if you stay and have to be on quarantine, so it'll help people get out there. Businesses, now this is going to have to get a little bit more substantial than this, of course, but the first thing they're going to do is they're going to provide a wage subsidy to small business owners who have seen their revenue decrease substantially, obviously. So they're going to give you a 10% wage subsidy up to $25,000 per employer to help pay the wages of your staff. So at least that's a little bit of a break. They're going to help you pay your staff because you have less revenue coming in. There's going to be a credit availability program to get financing like quite easily. Don't know exactly how these loans will look, of course, but I don't think it's going to be quite as difficult to get a business loan as it was 2 months ago. Now, good news for Albertans is that the affected sectors, so the airlines and the oil and gas industry, they are coming out in the next few days with actual serious action plans to help these sectors. The federal government hasn't talked about helping Alberta in years, so I guess the Albertans should be happy to hear that. It takes this to bring our country together, which maybe is a great thing. The really big one right now is CMHC. I talked about this before. They've put a whole bunch of money into it that we've paid already to the banks to say people can defer their mortgages for up to 6 months. Like I said, with the student loan things, I think this is deferring your mortgage. You're not adding interest onto it over the next 6 months. You should be able to apply if you're in, economic trouble. They don't want you to lose your house. Now, this is something you need to talk to your bank about, was the mortgage deferral, and also talk to your bank specifically about maybe credit deferral on payments on your credit cards or on your car loans, and on a case-by-case basis they'll work with you. I hope that their rules aren't too strict, so we'll see how that works out. Big one, especially for self-employed people, I think, because we all aren't totally sure about how much our tax bill is going to be, and then we're sitting there right about now, and I know that I have a big bill that I have to pay, was supposed to have to pay on April 30th, but I mean, now it's going to be a lot tougher when my income drops so significantly over the last few weeks. So what they've done is they say we can defer that, and we don't have to pay that tax bill until September 1st, and you don't have to file your taxes until June 1st, which should be good, because I know my accountant is sitting at home right now with his 3 kids, and usually this is the busiest time of year where he's working like 75 hours a week trying to get everybody's taxes done, and I don't imagine he would have that easy of a time filing everybody's taxes. So that's helpful. I'll keep you guys updated with next things to know about. Feel free to share this with anybody, and obviously please like, subscribe on the channel, because once we get out of this, then hopefully we can work together moving forward and get back into a position of prosperity. So thank you very much. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you guys soon.